Okay, well, hey, Philip, thanks again for joining us today. We appreciate it. Well, maybe I guess start off with, obviously, you guys have been working on this LRA program for quite some time. I guess, how exactly does Verizon work with these LRA partners when it comes to kind of rolling out this program? Obviously, you guys have been doing this for several years now. Dozens of carriers have been working with on this. What's the process you guys go through when it comes to kind of working with them and rolling out this program?
So we engage with our partners with the goal of being the kind of premier 4G LTE enabler for rural markets. We aim to take out pain points up and down the business model for the rural carriers so that they can bring LTE to their markets faster and more efficiently than they might otherwise on their own. So when we engage with an LRA partner, we start after signing the contract. We have a kickoff meeting where we get our engineers together with theirs and their business people. And frankly, this is my favorite part of the engagement because even at the breaks, seeing our engineers interact with their engineers, exchange ideas, talk about the technology, it's beneficial not only to the rural carrier joining the program, but frankly, it's beneficial to Verizon Wireless. We've learned an awful lot from our rural partners throughout this process. So at the kickoff session, we build a project plan. We talk about the RF design. Now, we give our rural carriers a great deal of autonomy in designing their networks, as we should. They know these communities, they know these areas, they're already generally operating with businesses there. And once we get a design from them, we review it, we may suggest some tweaks, and then we agree on it. And then we work together to build towards a launch date. And it's generally about 12 months or so from signing to launch has been our experience. We've gotten pretty good at enabling these launches. We set up a kind of a command center at Verizon down in Little Rock, Arkansas to manage each of these launches. And generally within a couple hours, we shut it down because they're going so smoothly. So we've built a replicatable process that really gives a lot of confidence to our partners as they move towards launch.
Very interesting. I mean, so yeah, you guys are able to do this in basically a year time frame, which is pretty impressive. I'm guessing, I'm guessing the first couple of them maybe took a little longer, but it sounds like you guys have this kind of nailed down now, where it's pretty much just almost like a checklist, I'm guessing, for you guys.
Correct. Our first partners launched in April of 2012, so we have 3 years of operational experience under our belt. So if you do the math, it was a little longer from the initial signings in 2010 to the first launch. And this was new for Verizon. This was a partnership that we hadn't really been involved with before. So it was as much our job here in our group to evangelize this within Verizon as it was to go seek out partners. But once everybody got on board and got focused on a design, we were able to roll it out in very short order.
Interesting. Now, I guess as you guys have kind of gone through this process several times now, I mean, were there any sort of challenges that initially were maybe kind of delayed it a bit, or was it just the fact that it was just so new to Verizon that you guys kind of had to kind of work through the process to really get it kind of figured out? And then once you figured it out, then it became a little more streamlined?
Well, at Verizon, our focus is on the customer experience. So when we really thought about this program, we wanted to think of it through the eyes of our customers experiencing this network, and frankly, in the eyes of the customers of our rural partners as well. So as with everything at Verizon, the focus was on network quality and how could we ensure that the experience was the best possible for those using these services. So a lot of time was spent up front on how will these networks interact? How will the handoff work? How will the core network services aspect of the program work? What about security? What about key performance indicators? So those type of things, again, looking at it through the eyes of the customer, were most important to us as we designed it. And certainly there were challenges along the way. It had never been done before. These were the first LTE roaming agreements to be implemented in the United States, and we're very proud of that. So we were pioneers in a sense, to borrow the name of one of our partners, in fact. And so we learned a lot along the way. One of the challenges early on, of course, was devices. And we knew that as you look at the business model for a rural carrier, it's not just about the network, it's not just about provisioning, it's about having a robust set of devices certified for sale. And I think collectively with our partners and internally to Verizon, we've done a lot to bring a robust number of devices to market. In fact, since we last did an interview with you, that number's gone up. I think we're at 41 certified devices versus 39 the last time I talked with your publication. So that just shows that we're continuing to add new devices to the pipeline.
Yeah, very interesting. And maybe for those who don't know about it, I mean, obviously what you guys do with the operators is you guys let them lease basically spectrum from you guys. They tie into your core network, but they pretty much operate everything else, whether it's the towers, the deployment. They kind of work on that part of it. And you guys are just kind of there as almost like a kind of a mentor to how they roll this out. And then, again, they tie it all into your core network at the end of the day, and then it's all seamless roaming between the two networks then.
I think that's very well said. Mentoring is a very good word. We're an enabler. We were there to help them get their business model off the ground faster and more efficiently. So, as you mentioned, spectrum, access to good spectrum. Yeah. 700 upper C. It was the bedrock of our LTE deployment. We leased it out to them because, frankly, we're good stewards of spectrum assets across the board. Secondly, the core network, giving them the opportunity to leverage the scale of our core network as we were building our LTE system. Things like provisioning. So we provision their customers when they sell new lines of service, and we do that centrally, which is an extra added feature that we offer them. And then, of course, roaming. So allowing their customers to experience our nationwide LTE network and, frankly, the network of other partners. So collectively, we grew together to build what I would hold out there as the most robust 4G LTE network in the country.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned, I mean, obviously this was a kind of a new program for you guys, but it was also one of the first LTE deployments pretty much in the whole world. I mean, obviously there were some in Europe here and there, but you guys, your LTE rollout was one of the first ones, and obviously you jumped on this partnership pretty quickly as well. So for a lot of these guys, they were kind of at the forefront, really, of LTE being rolled out in any place across the country, really, or around the world, really.
I think that's right, and we want to continue that kind of innovation. So they'll come along with us as we evolve to VoLTE and new technologies. In fact, in a few days, we're having our annual summit where we get together with all of our LRA partners and we talk about new technologies and the evolution of the LTE network and what that means to them. I mentioned earlier learning from them. These summits are not just Verizon people presenting. They're interactive panels. There's a lot of question and answer, dialogue, user group sessions. It's very robust. So it is a true spirit of partnership with these rural carriers.
And obviously, it sounds like you guys are working with these guys to bring along their evolution as well, because like you said, the VoLTE part is still pretty new for you guys, but obviously that's going to be an important part of this rollout as well, I'm guessing, for everybody else, is getting VoLTE on their network as well for support, for roaming, and other services like that.
Absolutely right. It's important to device evolution. And again, thinking of the customer and their experience, we want to make sure we do it right so we have robust project plans across the board.
Got it. How important was this project for Verizon in getting kind of that broad coverage rapidly? Because I know for you guys have been at the forefront of rolling out LTE across the country. You guys did it at a pretty rapid pace. It seems like these partners were really important, though, for you guys to kind of reach perhaps those in-between big market areas in a lot of areas. And obviously, you guys are doing a lot yourself, but in some of these areas, it seems like these core partners are really part of that kind of broad expansion. Maybe not pop coverage, but geographic area coverage, really, for you guys' rollout of your service.
Absolutely. So I come from the part of Verizon's heritage that worked in rural America. I came from the Alltel acquisition. So I know what it's like to operate in rural markets. I know how important they are. So you may have seen us compete in advertising with maps. And so expanding the coverage of our LTE footprint was absolutely fundamental. This was not some type of public policy initiative. This was we had objectives of our own, which was to expand our coverage. And if along the way we could enable 21 rural carriers to build businesses of their own, then that was an added bonus. So it was a win-win for us and a win-win for the carriers. But yes, we expanded very, very quickly. These footprints came up in 2012, and we continue to launch carriers. We have 2 more to launch even this year.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. I guess, obviously you guys have, I think, 24 partners at this point?
It's 21.
21, sorry. Okay. I'm jumping ahead again there. And then the plan is to add, obviously, a couple more this year. So you guys are still looking to bring more partners onto this program then?
So the 21 carriers, we have 19 of them who have launched. So when I mentioned 2 additional launches, what I was talking about is those who have signed, who are going through the launch process. They'll be coming on board later this year. So we'll be at 21.
Okay. And then are you guys looking to add more after that then?
We're certainly open to exploring other options, but frankly, I think we've got a very robust group of carriers. We had very good responses early on in 2010 when Lowell McAdam announced this. We worked through that group. We found the best group that had resources available to them, towers, existing businesses, but most importantly, the same commitment to customer quality. And we've done our best to really work through that group. Collectively, if they were to apply for statehood based on the coverage area, they'd be the 9th largest state in the union. We're very proud of that fact.
Interesting way to look at it there. That's very, very good there. But and obviously, it seems like you guys have great support from the top down of the company too, because obviously, like you said, Lowell was part of Verizon Wireless when this is all kicked off. He's now head of Verizon overall now. But it seems like you've had some great support, pretty much from the top down from the organization there, and kind of rolling out this program, which, like you said, was something kind of new for Verizon.
Yeah, before I took the job, took on the task of rolling out this program in 2010, I wanted to be sure that kind of commitment was in place. And I was overwhelmed by how important this program was. And we got support, as you say, from the top down in our engineering organization, our marketing organization, really across the board to make this happen. And I think our rural carriers understand that. Every year when we have our summit, our senior executives, many of them come out and speak to the group, and they talk about how important the program is. We've had our head of engineering, we've had our chief operating officer, our CEO. So it's not just a science project. It's not just some kind of a afterthought. It is an integral part of our larger coverage plan for the business. And I'm proud of the fact that it's real and that it's growing.
Yeah, and it's also good to kind of see that it is kind of almost an extension of like you said, the former Alltel operations. So obviously Verizon acquired Alltel a while ago, but Alltel was a great operator because again, you guys had such a broad rural reach out there. Obviously with the Western Wireless acquisition as well too, you guys really had a broad coverage out there. And it seems like Verizon's really kind of kept that kept that program going through the acquisition and kind of moving with this LRA program too.
So Verizon is, the largest rural LTE provider when you look at counties under 100 people per square mile. So Verizon shared Alltel's view of rural markets, but I will tell you that we have a group of folks in Little Rock, Arkansas, many of whom are former Alltel, who are a dedicated support function for the LRA community. So there's kind of one person they can call if they have an issue, and they can navigate the maze that is a large company like Verizon. So that kind of dedicated resource really shows how important Verizon thinks this program is.
Yeah, well, it's great. Well, again, hey, we definitely appreciate the insight on this and obviously an update on it. And it sounds like you guys are still working pretty hard at this process as well, too. So I'm sure we'll get some more updates as we go along, too. But hey, Philip, we definitely appreciate the insight on this today. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for taking the time.
All right.